Welcome back, Timberwolves fans. My name is Mark Fiers, and I am the host of Timberwolves Today on FanArch, bringing you all of your Minnesota Timberwolves news, deep dives, hot takes, rumors, and more. Um, I am going to start off today talking about Alex Rodriguez. I was actually going to come back to a point that I brought up in another podcast about locations for a new Timberwolves arena, some quotes by Alex Rodriguez. And in my deep dive, came across an interview with Alex Rodriguez just recently, last week, with the University of Minnesota Carlson School of Management. It was him and President and CEO Matt Caldwell. But a few things kind of really jumped out. And I don't know what your impression of Alex Rodriguez is. I think most of us, our impression of A-Rod revolves around his baseball career, his time with the Yankees. We're from Minnesota. We hate the Yankees. It involves our perception of his steroid use. If you have seen his HBO documentary, you will really get a good insight into A-Rod as a person today. And having seen most of that documentary and having watched the interview of A-Rod from last week, I gotta say, guys, Alex Rodriguez is going to take the Timberwolves to the next level. He believes in Minnesota. He wants an arena here. He realizes it's not going to be overnight. He says it's a 5 to 7 year project. He wants to keep the Timberwolves in downtown in Minneapolis. I'm going to get to some of these locations in another podcast, but I have to hit this today because I think we're going to be looking back in 8, 10 years from now and realizing what an absolute genius and businessman and sports mogul Alex Rodriguez is. He gets it. He gets excellence. He gets winning. He gets business. He gets the whole scheme of things. In this interview, you should check it out. There is, if you go to the University of Minnesota Carlson School of Management Instagram, that'll link to the interview. You can also find it on YouTube. But he talks about him coming into the MLB at age 18. Ant comes in at 19. There's a lot of similarities there of the greatness. But if you going back to this HBO documentary, A-Rod, he is a fallen hero. He has stains on his legacy. The Minnesota Timberwolves is his way to reclaim his legacy. That's what that's what he wants to be remembered for. If he could put his baseball career and the mistakes that he made behind him, honestly, being a horrible person, he would. He can't. The only way that he's going to salvage his legacy is through the Minnesota Timberwolves and through Anthony Edwards. He talks about the global impact of the Timberwolves, and this is a reason why all Timberwolves fans need to pay attention and believe in what Alex Rodriguez is doing. Alex Rodriguez wants to make a lot of money. He wants to win championships. He wants to build an elite basketball team, but he wants to make money. Mark Lowry wants to make money. He points out that there are like 400 million basketball players in China, 300 million basketball players from India, and that basketball in Europe is a $45 billion industry that we have not tapped into yet. Anthony Edwards is his meal ticket. He will not let Anthony Edwards leave, because if Anthony Edwards leaves the Minnesota Timberwolves, they will lose out on billions of dollars in marketing and revenue in Europe, in Asia, China, India. It is 100% to Alex Rodriguez's benefit to do everything possible, culture-wise, financial-wise, to keep Anthony Edwards here. Going back to this, the whole Atlanta rumor, you can go back and watch a previous pod. I think it was the last one or the second to last one. They're not letting Anthony Edwards leave. And if you had any inkling that he might, go watch this interview. You're going to see A-Rod step up and step up big. He says in the middle of the interview, he draws a line from Field of Dreams. He said, "If we build it, they will come." He's talking about people. He's talking about free agents. He's talking about NBA execs. The CEO. I don't know if you know much about the new CEO, Matt Caldwell, but he was a hockey guy for the Florida Panthers, and you're like, okay, who cares? It's hockey. What does he know? Well, in the state of Florida, Matt Caldwell was the president and CEO of a team, the NHL team that won 2 Stanley Cups. Excellence is what he brings. And the fact that A-Rod and Mark Lowry went out and stole him from the Florida Panthers to bring him to the Minnesota Timberwolves to win championships and to make money speaks to how much Alex Rodriguez gets it, how much he wants it. We need to be excited. We need to be excited. We need to embrace what Alex Rodriguez is bringing to the Minnesota Timberwolves. I just cannot stress this enough, how impressed I am. His quote about Minnesota, the interview, the moderator asked him about us being a small market. And this is what Alex Rodriguez said. He said, "We're not a small market. I take that very personally. I'm very protective of Minnesota and Minneapolis." Okay, this is a guy from Florida, from New York. What does he have to do with Minnesota? I really do think he has embraced Minnesota. I think he has embraced the culture, living on Lake Minnetonka, right? Who wouldn't? But he said, we're not a small market team. We're a middle market to upper market. We have over 15 Fortune 500 companies. You have a rabid fan base. If you're from Minnesota, you never leave, and those who leave always come back, which is true. People love Minnesota. It's part of the DNA. The way you keep Anthony Edwards is you create a great culture. The dude gets it. We need to, we all say, oh, in Tim we trust, in Conley we trust, in KOC we trust, in, whatever it is. We need to put our trust in these Timberwolves owners. We need to put our trust in Alex Rodriguez. I could go on and on and on, but you get my point. And if you have had negative feelings about A-Rod in the past, you're going to need to turn those around, because you're going to be singing his praises in the future. All right, moving on. We have the stretch run coming up, and I want to highlight 3 players who I think are instrumental to the Timberwolves' success in the stretch run. I'm not going to talk about playoffs. We'll talk about playoffs when we get to the playoffs, and I'll do this the same type of post. But the 3 players who I think are most important to their stretch run here, these 26 games. First, I'm going to go through the 2 of them quickly. Ayo, the new guy on the team, his impact is going to be immense for this team, what he's going to bring off the bench. I've said this before. I've said this in other podcasts. The presence he will bring off the bench will raise the level of so many factors: the offense, the defense, the continuity, the ball movement, scoring, shooting, you name it. He is going to have a tremendous impact on this team. He is one of the most important people. He needs to find his rhythm. He needs to find his place. He needs to find his minutes. He needs to develop the trust of Finch. He needs to develop the trust of his teammates. They need to know when they pass him the ball, he's going to make the shot, or when he has the ball in his hands, he's going to get to them if they're open, which he has. We've already seen that connection that he has had with Rudy. And so that is my first person. I just mentioned the second person is Rudy. Um, Rudy is on that verge. I think Chet might have Defensive Player of the Year locked up, but Rudy is going to be top 3 or 4 in voting for Defensive Player of the Year. But this is why I think Rudy is important to the stretch run. Rudy needs to put his money where his mouth is. He called out his teammates, he called out his coaches about their effort, about lack of accountability. He needs to step it up. He needs to lock it in. He needs to gain and prove the trust that his teammates and coaches will give him. He needs to rebound better. He needs to move his feet more. He needs to crash the boards. He needs to get out and contest the pick and roll. He needs to make his free throws, and he just needs to shut up and play basketball. Um, Whether you like him or not, the metrics, the analytics, the statistics say that when he is on the court, the Wolves are a better team, especially defensively. We know um, his deficiencies offensively, but net, his impact is really important to this team's success. So he needs to step up his game. I think he has 26 games to prove this. The number one person most important to the Timberwolves' success in this stretch run is Naz Reid. Naz Reid averaged 14 points a game in November, 15 and a half in December, 16 in January, but now February, he's only averaged 10. In the month of January, he shot 47% from the 3-point line. And beyond in February, which is small sample size, only 6 games, he shot 26% from three. Big drop off. Nas started off the season a little bit slow. First month, only 10 points a game. He gradually ramped it up to the point where he is the favorite for Sixth Man of the Year. But February did not start out well. Nas needs to find his rhythm back again. I think that he'll be able to do that because the attackability of Io, of Bones, and of TJ Shannon when he gets back, the attackability of them to the rim will free up Nas for more open shots. Nas will not have to create the shots, as many shots for himself as he did before Io, and with TJ coming back. But I think the Wolves' success, I think we need to see Nas get back to that 16 to 18 points a game. Um, Even as I say that, it might not increase with the increase in scoring from other players on the team. However, um, his efficiency needs to improve. And I think that's really important for him to find his groove. Some recent comments from Mark Cuban. He weighed in on tanking. And here is his quote. The NBA has been misguided, thinking that fans want to see their teams compete every night with a chance to win. It's never been that way. Here, I should have led this a little bit better. Mark Cuban is actually pro tanking. There's a lot of counterpoints to this. Obviously, Adam Silver doesn't want to see tanking. Teams probably don't care, right? If you want to tank, but fans don't want to see losing. But Mark Cuban, who was the owner of the Dallas Mavericks before they, sold off their team and their hope and their future to get Cooper Flag, he weighs in on this. When I got into the NBA, they thought they were in the basketball business. They aren't. They are in the business of creating experiences for fans. These are NBA owners. Few could remember the score from the last game they saw or went to. They can't remember the dunks or shots. What they remember is who they were with, their family, their friends, a date. That's what makes the experience special. Fans know their teams can't win every game. They only know one team can win a ring. What the fans care about is their team's record. What fans care about their team's record want hope. He typed this out. You can go on X and read it. But they don't care about their team's record. They care about hope. Hope will get better and have a chance to compete for the playoffs and then maybe a ring. The one way to get closer to that is via the draft and trades and cap room. You have a better chance of improving all three when you tank. We didn't tank often, only a few times over 23 years, but when we did, our fans appreciated it. And it got us to where we could improve, trade up to get Luka, and improve our team. The NBA should worry more about fan experience than tanking. It should worry more about pricing fans out of games than tanking. Who know you know who cares the least about tanking? A parent who can't afford to bring their three kids to a game and buy their kids a jersey of their favorite player. Tanking isn't the issue. Affordability and quality of game presentations are. So that's Mark Cuban's quote. Agree with him or not, I don't agree with all that. I think that, at least for me, and I know talking to other people, a fan experience is one thing, but I don't want to be dropping, you know, 60, 80, 120, you know, $150 to get that game experience and watch my team lose, to watch them play poorly. Um, I also don't want to go to a game. I don't want to go to a Golden State Warrior game and not see Curry play. And so when guys sit, it ruins fan. When stars sit, it ruins fans' experience, and that's what happens when tanking happens. We just, saw this with, I think, Sacramento. So Cuban definitely got some interesting viewpoints. He's very smart, great businessman. He does know what he's talking about. But I think the NBA does have to do something about the tanking. The last thing we're going to hit today is the Timberwolves offense. The Timberwolves offense is the number one offense scoring wise in the NBA since January 1st. Since January 1st, they are fourth in the NBA in offensive rating, behind the Cavs, the Hornets, actually, and the Celtics. The Hornets have been hot. But they are number one in points per game at 121.1 points per game. 12 of the last 22 games, the Wolves have scored 125 points or more. We love offense, and we know defense wins championships. They actually have a really good defense, too. They have the number 6 rated defense in the NBA. I can see the Wolves moving from that number 4 offensive rating to number 1. I think the points per game is at 121. I think we can probably see that spike to 123 to 125. The pace of play will increase with Io, with Shannon coming back. The shooting should improve. Attacking the basket will leave wide open shooters. I mean, it's knocking down 2 more wide open threes. It gets us to 125, 126 a game. This offense is going to be fun to watch for the rest of the season. They need to work on it. They need to perfect it. They need to push the ball. They need to push the envelope. Be aggressive. Unlock the talent that they have. So that is it for today. Thanks for joining. Hit subscribe, and we will see you again soon.